Okay, we're going to move on now to our next feature, Maria Chisolm. Now, Maria was born in Washington, D.C., but raised in London and Australia. She came back here, happily for us. Now, she has credits that are too much to enumerate. You can go to the Cornelia St website, but Maria has worked in the theater. She's won prizes in Queens. She's performed in cities other than New York, Washington, D.C., and Detroit. She's been on Hugh Hamilton's Talkback radio show on WBAI and read poetry there. She's been published in Essence magazines and anthologies, poetry anthologies. And she has a book out called Sudan's Angels. It's available on Amazon and from the publishing company Author House, and I think she might have some copies here today. I'm very honored that Maria Chisolm has chosen to join us here at Cornelia St Cafe for this series. Let's hear a warm welcome for Maria Chisolm.
Thank you so much. I want to thank Bernard and Diane for having me here tonight. And thank you all for coming tonight. I just want to thank a little bit. Thank you. Yeah. Thank you. Just okay, here we go. This poem is for our admirer, our prophet, our guru of poetry. The title of this poem is called For Amiri Baraka. Amiri Baraka has passed on. Who told him to do that? I met him 3 times and he was so nice. I was proud to be in his space. Charming, so intelligent, I wanted to curtsy or bow in honor of his grace. Poet, laureate, music lover, a militant voice, a black historian who was a non-groupie, and I saw how he mused over his poetry lines. And so the writers composed their thoughts in text, FB, and mail, saddened by the passing of the teacher who haters always tried to nail. He rode that train and held on long. His disciples will tell you that. His family writers, Zora Neale Hurston, Ralph Ellison, Frederick Douglass, will welcome the iconic genius into the pearly gates of the University of Continuing Art. The controversial mania will still prevail. I looked into the eyes of Leroy Jones and saw papers, books, and pens. I saw history and knowledge, Malcolm X and the unity. I hold a candle high for these 2 men. Black power and democracy now, through no lost transcripts in this northern hemisphere. There are many voices remaining who will preach and chant and spit their goodwill. I say let them devour that food of choice, and let us remember as a black folk to be self-liberated and not enslaved by subservient bullshit. Amiri would be grateful for that. There's a little music with this one. My second piece is for a man that was found hung from a tree in a park last year. This poem is for him. It's called Hush. Northern tree in Lafayette Park. A body there, someone left their mark. Kneeling, maybe aloud a last prayer. Black man wasn't strung up to swing in the air. Hands tied behind his back. A twisted mouth, a senseless act. Quiet in the northern park, flowers to smell and pull apart. There the man for prey to feast, who let out that dreadful beast, who walked on the cobblestone road to kill. Did he stay and stare until he was still? Thank you. This piece I'm excited about. It was written specifically for my fella, and it's called Tango. I am on the A train riding to Harlem, looking for poetry. It is a little hard to find, so I start looking at people sideways and hear conversations backwards. Cross my eyes and bodies become convoluted to the power of 10. And voices from higher sources whisper messages that puts things in perspective, and I get it. I am going to Harlem to meet him. He's waiting in his car on 135th Street and 7th Avenue. And poetry on the A train is like an exhibition. Busy, exotic, somewhat amusing, and colorful like candy drops in a montage. But I also see the downtrodden, the homeless. That struggle is real. There is a starvation that both the have and the have-nots endure. There is a beauty and desperation in this endurance. And I know he is waiting, but I will be there soon. I do have my notes on the Asian young woman holding hands with an older, strung-out white man. I will always remember the black girl with hanging titties with no bra on, trying to manage 5 children and a liquor bottle. Corporate America sat on the 2-seater in the corner, wearing pearls and Oxford shoes. The woman across from her wore a leopard miniskirt, chandelier earrings, and Christian Louboutin shoes. You know, the ones with the red lacquered bottoms, symbolizing the blood left on the ground from prostitution in Paris. And Brother Man hasn't forgotten on how to wear an afro with his pants underneath his skinny, round ass with a checkered shirt on. Do I laugh or do I cry? It doesn't matter. My stop is here, and I'm off this train to meet him on 135th. I see him parked on the northeast side of the street, waiting patiently with a smile that is mostly inside than out, and a twinkle in his eyes that pulls me in expeditiously. He quietly listens to tunes on the iPod, baseball cap on backwards. We will walk near 138th, where the park is, and tango barefoot until the sun goes down. And that's poetry. Yeah. I want to continue in honor of Black history. This is my book, Sudan's Angels. I brought some copies for sale tonight. This piece is for Emmett Till. Boy, why'd you have to whistle at that white girl? I say, boy, why'd you have to whistle at that white girl? They'll get you for that in Money, Mississippi. Men pounded on his front door, took him from his bed at night, said he had to be properly identified in Money, Mississippi. Young boy never did go back home. The men beat him in a weathered shed, shot him, barbed-wired his neck to a cotton gin in Money, Mississippi. His mother had his body sent home. Thousands viewed the disfigured corpse. You will see his face, she cried. Look what they did to my son in Money, Mississippi. 14 years old, that's all he was. Clouds still puffing the sky, and the Tallahassee still flows like a matter never was. In Money, Mississippi. In Money, Mississippi. Thank you. My last poem, this was written, Anderson Cooper, I was looking at him about a year or so ago on a documentary he was doing on soldiers with their mutilating and beating and raping young children, young women and babies. And they, he had interviewed one woman, and he asked a mother, how are you coping? And Anderson, and the mother had just confessed that just trying to heal. So this poem is called Heal. Little girl from Africa, only 3 years old. Hide and seek, big fun. Her heart was made of gold. She didn't know that they would come. Little girl from Africa, just a baby girl. She wore pretty dainty frocks, chose not to have any curls. Little girl from Africa, she always ran and played, laughed with her family, ate beans and grain in the shade. She didn't know they would come. Little girl from Africa was seized by 3 men. Each took their turn, pushed hard inside her gem. Soldiers used themselves and weapons. She screamed even after they were done. Little girl from Africa didn't know they would come. They asked her mother, "How does your daughter feel?" Her mother replied with tears, "She is learning on how to heal." Thank you.
Thank you, Maria. That was fantastic.